how do I better connect with my audience in my content? I post and I post and the engagement that I get isn't high, and it's generally not from ideal clients. Okay, we can all relate, yes? We get inspired, we share something that we think is amazing, we go and post it, and then we get crickets, a handful of likes. Mum is our biggest supporter. What the heck is going on? Here's what's happening, team. Okay, and you're going to hear some possibly uncomfortable truths that I'm about to share with you, and it might make you feel uncomfortable, but I really encourage you to stick with this and listen, because there is a beautiful breakthrough at the end of this that will allow you to connect and have more people to serve if you apply these principles. So here's what's happening. You are eye-centric, and so is every other person on this planet. In fact, we have now close to 8 billion people walking around this planet, and everyone is coming from an eye-centric place. It is no wonder we are at war with ourselves, with each other, and as a world, right? And I know that that might seem like a bit shocking, and also, what has this got to do with me connecting with my audience? It has everything to do with you connecting with your audience. And here's why. You are speaking at people and to people rather than connecting and speaking with them. And there is a huge distinction on how that looks and how it shows up in your content and on social media. Now, let's unpack what that means, right? Because the word eye-centric, what does that even mean? So the word centric, if we look it up in the dictionary, it means concentrated about or directed to a center or centric activity. And then when we add the eye-centric, the eye being the center activity, your world, your center point is you. You are constantly revolving around yourself. Now, why are you like this? And why am I like this? Why are we all like this? Well, from the minute you are born, you are taught that the world revolves around you. Thanks, Mum and Dad. You know, have your parents ever said to you, why are you doing that? You know, the world doesn't revolve around you. Well, you taught me that it did. Now, even if you didn't grow up with your parents or you feel that they weren't super affectionate, the point is this: as a baby, you will have caregivers. And you are, as soon as you cry, gurgle, make a noise, anything, immediately you are lavished with a form of attention. Might be positive, might be negative attention, but you are given attention. And then you become a toddler and you fall over, or you scream, or you steal a toy. And again, the caregiver, the parent, the carer, the person at daycare, again, you are lavished with a form of attention. So you learn that when you do something, immediately there is an external motor response by others. So you do start to believe that the world is here for you. Then obviously you go through primary and adolescence, and again, you're filtering your world through all of the emotional experiences that you have. Now, in addition to the physical experience of you being taught that the world revolves around you and it becomes second nature, from a neuroscience perspective, what actually happens is all of those moments in your life where you're making a noise, doing something, and getting an external motor response from somebody, a caregiver, and then the rest of the world, what happens is it lights up the area of the brain that releases dopamine. And dopamine is a reward transmitter, neurotransmitter. It reinforces our desire to repeat the pattern. So you actually are addicted to your eye-centricity. So am I, by the way. Not any different, right? So you're addicted because you're addicted to the dopamine hit that happens every time you are eye-centric. Your eye-centricity actually subconsciously makes you feel powerful and drives you to crave more. It's a power over pattern. This addiction actually pushes you away from people because it's interpreted by the rest of the world, your partner, your friends, your audience on social media. It's interpreted as egotistical and arrogant. So you have a chemical addiction to being eye-centric. Now, by the way, as you are listening to me, if you are thinking in your mind, I'm not eye-centric, that is your eye-centricity playing tricks on you. This is not a bad thing and this is not a judgment, but I'm building up to something here that's really important for you if you want to be able to make deeper connections on a wider scale so that you have a flow of people coming to you wanting to know how you can serve them. Because I'm going to show you how you make it about them rather than coming from the I-centric place where we're speaking at people. Because, by the way, speaking to someone is the same as speaking at them. You don't want to speak to people. You want to be in conversation with them. So, we've established that we all have a chemical addiction to being I-centric because we want the dopamine hit. And so what happens is your content, your message, you end up pushing your audience away rather than bringing them in. Now, in his book, Influencing Human Behavior, Harry Overstreet says that you have respect for your audience, obviously, right? You want to be able to serve people. But what happens is, neurologically, you are focused on wanting to make a good impression. And so you try to show all of your audience what you know. Now, by the way, what I'm about to share with you, Harry Overstreet wrote this book before social media. So I'm going to link it to what we do on social media, okay? So you have respect for your audience on social media. You want to make a good impression. You want to show them what your knowledge is so you can demonstrate that you're the best person to serve them. But Harry Overstreet says that what happens is, as your display of knowledge flourishes, so as you're telling people what you know in your content, in your message, on your website, in your DMs, on your sales calls, as you tell, your audience starts to feel subtly depressed. What? Yeah, Juan Pablo. Monkey brain, codependency. Yeah, absolutely. You got it. Right? So your audience starts to feel subtly depressed because when a speaker tells his audience, he or she is implying indirectly that they know and that the audience doesn't. And so then you are telling your audience, look at what I know. And in response to that, what actually ends up happening is you inadvertently induce a feeling of inferiority within them. Because when you tell somebody, you're actually telling them that they don't know, or you're implying that they don't know. Oh my God. So this is why understanding human behavior and having clear strategies on how to create your message and your content and how to show up on social media is important. Because if you just go and share a piece of content from your heart, guess what? It's also been from your head, which is I-centric. So now what you've done is you've told your audience all of your knowledge, but now they feel subtly depressed and inferior because you haven't learned how to share the message in a way where you're in conversation rather than you telling them from this I-centric place and speaking at them. What do you think, guys? What are you thinking as you're hearing this? What's happening? It's pretty incredible, right? So sharing from your heart is important. Your message and your mission, there is an intersection between what you want to give and what your audience wants to take. Your ability to know how to create content that connects with them rather than speaks at them is the difference between you having better connection with them and having engagement and having ideal clients come to you versus you still struggling and sharing content and feeling like you're throwing spaghetti on the wall hoping that it sticks. So the question was, how do I better connect with my audience in my content because I post and the engagement that I get isn't high and generally isn't from ideal clients? Well, you take you off the page and you put them on there. And this is obviously part of what what you can learn inside of my flagship program, Connect with Content. It's what we do in the one-on-one sessions that I work with people. But it also is what you have access to for a low ticket monthly membership with Inside Business Builder. And because you're inside of this group, you actually have access to 50% off your first month as a gold member. So I will drop a link, pardon me, I will drop a link in the chat. If you want to check that out, that is absolutely available to you because Juan Pablo says, so what's the best way to write content that connects like a conversation? And so there's, first of all, you should be asking questions in your content. Quality questions create conversations. But that aside as well, Juan Pablo, to answer that question, obviously it's about, first of all, being aware of your eccentricity, like we've just spoken about today, but then it's about having formulas and strategies that allow you to put your message and your mission and plug your words into a written piece of content that actually is about your audience and how to connect with them. And that's part of what we do in Business Builder. It's about following principles matched with strategy and step-by-step guides. So you share from your heart, but it ends up being about them, so it makes the connection.